So welcome to episode 60 of the Jez and Friends podcast. Today's special guest is Wallace. He's a two-time guest. We had him on with Cal and Will, I believe, earlier this year. Today we're going to cover pretty much marathons, living overseas, working at a cafe. Wallace just finished his shift a few hours ago, and footy as well, and soccer. The Premier League is a massive focal point at the moment, so we might as well get into it. With the first topic is always hypotheticals. So I guess, Wallace, what's your kind of goal pace for a marathon? I know you've been training for a marathon, but right now it's half marathon, so what's the kind of goal pace, mate?
Yeah, marathon's always kind of a dream. I think I'm still a fair way off, but maybe in a year's time or so I might be able to get there. At the moment it's just the halfie, but an ideal pace, I think just sticking to the plain old kind of threshold 5 minute kilometres would be good, just to be able to extend that over 42 kilometres. I'd definitely be fairly happy with that.
Just keep it cruisy,
yeah. Kipchoge runs like half that pace.
250's fit, he's 159, yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy, I can't run that fast for like 3Ks, let alone 42, but you know, that's his job. So
yeah, I can't even do it for 800.
Yeah, probably just a 5 minute kilometre.
Yeah, keep it steady, because I feel like if I go like 4:30s and a half, I'd blow out after 5k. Then you'd run like 6 minute Ks for like the rest of the time.
I'm
ready
to blow myself out running 10Ks, let alone a marathon.
Nah, awesome, mate. Hopefully, because I know you're planning to do the Great Ocean Road one, and hopefully that doesn't get postponed too long, because I know you've been putting in some good training weeks. And I guess it's a good segue into running, because you kind of run with a group as well, so that's like Luke Matthews here. I believe his mum kind of coaches the group. Yeah. What's that aspect like?
Oh, it's pretty cool, to be honest. I think she definitely has high expectations, as you would reason from someone whose son is an Olympic athlete. He didn't actually end up going to the Olympics this year, I don't think. He didn't
run the
800. Yeah, but he has come down to training a couple of times, and you know, he's like, oh, nice 400 guys. I run an 800 in less than that, but well done. And yeah, so it's pretty cool, to be honest. And they're both good people to be around. They're nice, but you know, I haven't been around Luke too much, but Liz especially, who's my coach, she knows what she's on about, and she knows what she wants of us, and you know, you can't do anything but give 100.
Did you ask any questions to Luke about his journeys, or anyone?
No, to be honest.
Sort of say anything about it?
No, I feel like he keeps it pretty low key.
Low key, yeah. Seems like that.
Yeah, he's, like I said before, like, people are pretty down to earth. You know, he's just a nice guy and a normal person. You know, if you were just there and you somehow didn't know that he was an Olympic athlete, you just assumed that he was a normal son, apart from the fact that he keeps telling you he runs his 800s faster than you run his 400s.
Oh no, that's awesome. We love that, mate. And I guess let's go back to obviously growing up, and you've travelled the world a fair bit, like obviously going across plenty of countries around Asia, haven't you?
Yeah.
And what are some of the most memorable, I guess, destinations or places you've been to, mate?
Yeah, well, I left Australia when I was 7.5 and reached China just after I turned 8. So we spent about 6 months between then, travelling up through Australia and Asia.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Because, you know, Chinese school, the school year starts 6 months after the Australian one does, because they're in the northern hemisphere, so we had to fill that time.
So opposite, yeah.
And so we used it really nicely. So that was like my first. We'd been overseas quite a lot actually before that, only to Asia. But you know, I know Asia pretty well. We went through Singapore and Indonesia, and I'd been there before when I was small, and I've just kind of been raised to like try new things and accept new experiences and make the most of it all, and that means that I really enjoy all of it. And I think when I first got to China, I was put into a local school.
How's
my
that?
parents thought, my parents thought it would be like a good experience for me to see what people experience in other parts of the world and just how lucky I am, as well as to learn another language, which I did do. I was only there for 2 years, but in that time I did actually make some really good friends, local kids who, you know, had never left China. they could only speak Mandarin, and I just had to learn the language. But after about 6 months of being fully immersed in the language,
You kind of pick it up, don't you?
I picked it up really quickly, and I was pretty fluent. And I have lost some of that in the time afterwards, but just being in the school was a great experience, and really, really vastly different to the Australian schooling system. Like, no heaters in the classroom during winter. There was serious winter up there. Like in the middle of winter, it actually snowed, and of course we didn't have a school during then, because that was midway through the winter holidays where the middle of winter hit. But still, it did go below zero, and we were all wrapped up in our classrooms, and we had to have all the windows and doors closed. But there wasn't actually any central heating or anything, and the classrooms were pretty bare, like wooden desks and chairs and stuff, and quite a bit of homework. It was a really alien experience at first, but then I just got used to it, got comfortable. I was 9 years old, and had 3-4 hours of homework each night.
Oh, mate!
In the first year, I actually did really well in school. Surprisingly, I got some of the worst grades in my class in the English exams, because in China the system is
different.
There's only one right answer, and of course, as someone who is like a fluent first language speaker of English, I was like, well, yes, I can see why you think that, but also this I feel like is a relevant answer. But of course, in China,
there's only one correct answer.
As it's taught in the book, and so I didn't really mind at the end of the day. And I think some of my classmates were like, "Oh, how can you flunk an English test this bad? It's literally your first language." And I was like, "Oh well." I didn't actually say much. I just kind of was a bit embarrassed. But I think they actually did work it out for themselves in the end. That I knew what I was on about, but didn't know what was in the book, which is normal, because critical thinking and stuff are just things that aren't really taught there, and thinking outside the box. Because
it's all from the textbook, I guess.
Yeah, it's all from the textbook. The government controls many facets of education and almost everything that happens in society, and so I was an anomaly, and I think they worked that out. But I did, in my first year there, in my end of year exams, when I was in year 2. Yeah, I started in year 2, so we had end of year exams in year 2.
Ooh.
Yep.
Every year?
Every single year had end of year exams, but you don't start school until you're 7 years old.
So grade China. 1 for us, yeah.
So, but even so, I mean, we don't have end of year exams that actually matter until we're pretty much in year 11. And even then, if you don't make those, it's only your year 12 ones that really matter for your university scores. So, such a different world there. But I did really well. I got 93% in my math test, I remember. It was a great day for me. And,
that's why you're doing methods.
And 89% in my kind of literature tests, and they were both like in full Mandarin and stuff. So the year after that, I kind of fizzled out. I wasn't doing the homework, and it was tough. And in comparison to that, I'd kind of been pampered my entire life, so I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I'm leaving next year. And so in hindsight, I'm quite disappointed at myself for doing that, but it did wear me down quite a bit, and I wasn't having the life of what you might think like a normal child, at least an Australian child would be, although I was living much easier lives, academically at least, than was expected of all my classmates. So, completely different worlds, and I think just being in China was one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
Well, you summed it up pretty well, and obviously the schooling system is so different, but I feel like China is a very hard language to kind of conjure up if you're not immersed in it. So would you say the writing aspect is harder, or the speaking? What's the kind of gist to that?
Yeah, definitely the writing aspect is hard, but it's kind of like any language. It's in China there's a specific character for pretty much every word. Sometimes there's a couple of characters that come together to form one word, but it's not like you're building words like we do in our language out of specific letters that have certain sounds. So you are building the characters out of certain strokes, but those strokes, they mean things, but they don't have certain sounds. But sometimes they do kind of dictate the sounds depending on which one's dominant and what. So at the end of the day, all of that stuff didn't really matter. I was just immersed in it, and I remember on my first day coming back, and in year 1 in China, you're only taught in pinyin, which is like the phonetic alphabet. So
Like from the
not
area.
phonetic alphabet. So like no, it's like using the English alphabet to spell out the words, and using like the tone signals as well. So you're not actually taught in characters, and then you start learning characters in year 2. And I remember on my first day in the classroom, they wrote big, which is da, so like a character that's shaped like that, and small, which is xiao. And I wrote both of them down in my book and went home and showed mum and dad, and I was like, look what I managed to do. And I'm like, oh, well done. And then
That's
yeah,
awesome, mate.
I'm surprised I remember that, but that was like, you know, I was like, oh, I've actually written Chinese characters. And then it just kind of came naturally from there. Just, you know, if you're surrounded by something, you don't really have any choice whether you learn it or not. Even if you don't want to, it just comes.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So really, I
good.
didn't have to try. It just came. And then
Comes
you have to
naturally.
try when it came to the schoolwork and applying that knowledge. But the language itself wasn't much of an effort, no.
Oh wow. Yeah, and that's interesting as well. And what about like places? Did you visit the Great Wall of China?
Yeah, I did. I actually went to Beijing for, I think it was my 9th birthday. But yeah, we went off to Beijing quite a couple of times and went to the Great Wall of China, and you know, set off firecrackers in our apartment courtyards.
Oh, we
and
love that,
stuff,
mate. We
and
love that. Yeah.
went down to Shanghai to meet some other expat friends who also lived there, and lots of stuff like that. And then towards the end of our time in China, we did go up and went up to the north of China to some of the more rural parts. I don't know if you've heard of places like Harbin, or just places in Inner Mongolia where
So that's northern, yeah.
like quite north, like still coal powered to heat heat the to heat all the houses, like, and during winter the pollution was so bad because almost every apartment complex heated the complex by using their own like coal powered heating resource of some sort. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but almost every, especially the old ones, the new ones that would be built had like internal central heating and stuff, and the Chinese government was definitely phasing out the smokestacks and the coal powered stuff because it was so bad. And during winter when the snow came down there, I wasn't there, but I've heard that it's just thick with coal and like the snow's black and it's really disgusting. And I think the Chinese government, I don't think they were too worried about emissions. I think
It's improving
they're
now.
quite an industrial
definitely,
country. I think they're more worried about their image internationally.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I might be reading it wrong here, but that's what I think at least. But yeah, they're slowly phasing old things out and making it a very modern country. But yeah, and that's just in China, to be honest. In Malaysia, I visited a lot of places as well.
Where else did you go? Just quickly, like Malaysia.
Yeah, I lived in Malaysia for 5 years, and so did a lot of riding in Malaysia that you couldn't do in China because the countryside, it was just ugly and monotonous, and the pollution was pretty bad. Like, the countryside in Malaysia wasn't awful, but it was, in China wasn't awful, but it was like endless rice paddies and still somewhat felt industrial, and the sky was always grey and stuff, and you know, school had to be closed sometimes for like a week or two because the I think it's PM 2.5, or I think that's
So
what
the
it's
scale,
called.
yeah.
The particulate matter or something, like a certain measure of it was above 500. And you know, when I went to Malaysia, schools would only close if it's above 150, and in China it closes if it's above 500. So it's pretty ridiculous. The pollution there pretty bad. But in Malaysia, that was a great place for riding. The countryside was so good. The people were so friendly, and everywhere you go, there just seems to be a homestay. And even if there's not, you can, like, one time we went for a ride up along our coastline, and you know, we had to take a boat across a couple of big river mouths to get to the other side so we can continue riding up the coast, and got to see like old Japanese bunkers from when they invaded Malaysia. So that was really cool. But we reached this town pretty late, and we thought there'd be a homestay there, and we were just riding up and down and we couldn't find anywhere, and we just decided to stop for dinner, and we asked the guy there, and then he phoned a friend who came and picked us up and led us to his friend's house on a motorbike, and then we stayed in one of their spare like houses, and it was pretty basic. We showered in cold water, I think, and had 2 double beds to share, but at the end of the day, that's all you need, and it was comfortable,
as long as it works out.
Is so good, and that's what made riding in Malaysia so great.
That's awesome, mate. Might have to go check out Malaysia down the road. Seems like a wonderful place.
Hopefully the world's opening up as we speak.
We're all double back still, so hopefully soon, mate. And I guess it's a good segue into schooling. Obviously, we're back on site, year 10s, year 11s, mostly, but I guess what are the pros and cons of being back? Like, obviously, some pros are properly socialising, but the cons are you can't, turn off your camera.
To be honest, I don't really have a problem with either form, online or in person.
Because you're still learning.
As I'm pretty good at motivating myself to work online, and when you're in person, it's even easier because the teacher's there and you're more engaged and it's more interactive. But even online, sometimes I did find myself losing focus, especially in math, because it's just double periods of math where they're explaining stuff. It can get a little over the top sometimes, and you just want to lie down on your bed and shut your eyes, but your bed's right there. But at school you don't have that luxury, so I think that takes that part out of it. But it's just, honestly, yesterday I was a little bit nervous going back to school, and I think I was talking to my friend yesterday about this as well. Coming back from lockdown, going to school, you always feel a little bit nervous. You don't know what to expect. But at the end of the day, I was just so happy because, it'd been so good. I got to socialise with all of my friends again, and then got to run around, kick the footy at lunchtime,
volleys,
get back to all of that. It was really good. So I definitely prefer on-site learning. But at the end of the day, if online learning is what it takes to keep the community safe, I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah, same. Hopefully not next year, but I guess. What are you doing next year, like in terms of subjects for year 11? You want to give listeners a spin?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just doing mainstream English, and I'm doing units 1 and 2 of math methods this year. So I'll be doing 3 and 4 next year, which means that I don't have to think about math at all in year 12, which is really good.
Like me.
Yeah, because it does take up a disproportionate amount of time when you compare it to other subjects. And I mean, that might change next year as I do other VCE subjects, but even still, I think math is definitely the hardest. So being able to just purely focus on all my others in year 12, that's going to be really good. So I'm glad I got it out, the first 2 units out of the way this year. Mainstream English, chemistry and biology, I'm doing them both, I think.
Double science.
Yeah. I'm not very into physics. I'm not sure. I don't mind it, but at the end of the day, I'd rather do chemistry or biology or both, as I am doing. What else am I doing? I'm doing Australian and global politics. So units 1 and 2 is Australian, and units 3 and 4 is global. So apparently that's how it's structured. So that will be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. Just mix it up a little bit, get some humanities subjects in there, because I'm interested in that. And I don't want to just be doing science and math and English.
Yeah, that's it.
What else am I doing? I'm doing Mandarin as a VSL subject, right. So doing it.
That's gonna be tough. Saturday mornings, but it's all worth it. Mornings,
so have to do it at the VSL headquarters or one of their bases near my house, or online if we're in lockdown. So, which hopefully won't be the case, but that's good. Oh, and I'm also. If I do okay on the test, which I hope I will do, because I'm only eligible for advanced
Mandarin,
advanced second language.
Oh,
even
right.
though I probably could do first language, although it would be a lot harder. Advanced second language. So if I do okay on the test, I'm allowed to hop straight to units 3 and 4, because units 1 and 2 don't really matter.
Because it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
So that would be really good as well. Get that out of the way for year 12, and you get mucked up a fair bit. So it's
good motivator.
Good easy subject to have. And I have a few like graphics and design options. I think am I doing an architecture subject as well? I think it might be one of my other selections.
Like your backups.
Yeah, and then I think I've also got Lang and Lit on the side as potential backups, both of which I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Probably literature over language, to be honest, but I don't mind and I'm interested in both, and I probably would have had both if I didn't want to choose the other subjects that I did.
That's awesome, mate. And what about career-wise? I know you talked about humanities being a facet, but what are you kind of steering towards?
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm really, I'm leaning towards biomed. I think I want to be, a doctor. My grandfather's a general surgeon, so maybe following his footsteps. I definitely don't want to work in the emergency department. I was thinking at work today, actually, as I was serving tables during the brunch rush hour that you get on a Saturday and Sunday morning. Jesus, I was like, if I do this in if I'm working in an emergency department, it's going to be like this, except there's going to be more people and I'm not going to be dealing with their coffee, I'm going to be dealing with their lives.
That's a big
maybe not,
yeah.
but just like a general surgeon, I think that sounds pretty cool, and I'm interested in my biology and chemistry, so that's why they're two of my main subjects. And hopefully I'd like to do it at Melbourne Uni, although that's
we love that. We love that.
So
awesome goal, mate.
As long as I can do something that can, at least, even if it's a circuitous route, so it's not a direct path to it, hopefully I can make it to being a surgeon one day. But at the moment, I'm looking to get into some kind of biomed course.
And hopefully we can recruit you into Melbourne Uni Athletics Club as well.
Yeah, or maybe one day I'll be running alongside you.
Yeah, that's good, mate. And what about obviously we met through the Doggies program, Western Bulldogs Youth Leadership Project. Highly recommend, because I know for us, I mean, you had a few people from your school, but I had literally no one, and I did encourage people, and I guess evaluate your experiences on the camps, main facets, and I think their main 4 kind of terms were social inclusion, as I said, intercultural understanding. What are your key learnings from the program, Wallace?
At the end of the day, I do think that those that the lessons were really valuable, and the people who came in and gave us mini seminars or presentations and stuff, it was really nice, even if we did have to do it online sometimes. And it was good to talk to people and learn from people who know what they're talking about. And I feel like a lot of the things, especially the stuff about money and life choices,
saving your money,
I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff definitely very useful for later in life, and even now as you begin to head into kind of the age where that stuff is more relevant to you, so I found those really useful. But at the end of the day, I think it was just the social part that I really liked just getting to talk to people and meet new people, and that's mostly what I was there for, as well as just being able to contribute to the community at the end of the day and learn a little bit about it. But just it would have been pretty boring, to be honest. I might be brutally honest, if I hadn't had met some mates there and been able to hang out with other people as
If you didn't get put in the same cabin as us, I don't think it would have been as fun. But boys,
I might have just hanging out with the collywobbles wouldn't have been the end of the world, but
True, a bit wild. Anyway, what about I know last week or the week before you were part of a webinar, and you spoke about the vaccination, and what was that like? Talk us through that.
That was good. Yeah. I got asked if I might want to do it. I think everyone did, and I just answered the email about 2 minutes after it came in, because I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'd definitely like to talk about that. And I am quite passionate about people getting vaccinated, because I see anti-vaxxers and it just really genuinely makes me angry.
Same, mate.
So I just wanted to see if I could do my best to make a difference, and I did. I just got asked about my experience being vaccinated and how I felt in the lead up, and what the conversations and kind of thoughts had been in my age group and demographic surrounding the lead up to our eligibility, and how we had felt during the lockdown, and how the vaccines were changing all of that. Yeah, so it was pretty short and sweet at the end of the day. I only had those kind of 3 topics to cover, but it was really good, and I did get sent a $50 doggy voucher afterwards.
Oh, I love that, mate.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll spend it well, mate.
Yeah.
And speaking about the Doggies, how would you evaluate the grand final? Obviously, it was disappointing, but aren't you proud of the boys for making the granny, considering like circumstances with, quarantine? Like the Brisbane government were pretty strict on them. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I mean, not the result we were hoping for, but Melbourne aren't the worst team to lose to. They definitely deserved it. They definitely outplayed us, and I think we were 1-1 against each other going into that game, and they were just better. And I think if we had been the team in Melbourne's position at 3/4 time, we would have thumped them. It's always the last quarter. I think, except for the Pies versus Eagles one, was that 2018 it was?
Yeah,
right?
it would have been. Yeah.
That was close right up until the end. If a team's got the momentum behind them and they're leading by even just 2 goals going into 3/4 time, I think every grand final except for 2018 and maybe the Dogs' last one in 2016, but even then in the last quarter it's just a blowover. I think like it's true, all the last
pretty
grand
much
finals
everyone's
have
tired,
been
yeah.
pretty much thumpings. Like they've been relatively close apart
From the Collingwood one,
thumped
yeah.
a lot of people.
Collingwood v West
GWS
Coast
were
was
never in the
close.
game, but yeah, I mean, it was close, and if the Dogs had been in that position, I think we would have handed out the same punishment, but we weren't. And I mean, at the end of the day, I was pretty disappointed on the night, but I just ate an ice cream and watched some Netflix and went to sleep. And yeah, I mean, I was over it in a couple of days, so yeah, it wasn't the end of the world, and Melbourne outplayed us, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it.
No, we love that, mate. Ice cream's always the trick,
Yeah.
Wallace. And I guess another thing is Premier League. I know some kids at school love their NBA, but the Premier League is always like underrated, And
Yeah.
as you know, you're a Spurs fan, and I'm a Leicester fan. We're not going too well right now. But what are your thoughts on, I guess, the Spurs with the possibilities this year? Obviously, you're 5th right now. I reckon the only way up is up. Yeah.
Oh well, I don't know about that. I think I'd love a European football spot, just top 6. Champions League, I think, is definitely going to be a stretch. We're above Man United at the moment, but I think they will definitely come back. If they don't, they're going to be a massive flop with Ronaldo in and all the money they've spent over the last couple of years. Then there's obviously going to be Chelsea, Liverpool and City, and so that's only really that 4th spot in contention for, and I think Man United will probably get that one pretty comfortably. So, I'd be happy with 5th or 6th, and I think you guys are in the Europa League. Yeah, Ducker did his 4-goal thing
4 goals.
to
That was
keep
very
you guys
good.
alive. So, yeah, pretty amazing. So I don't know, maybe we can share 5th and 6th and come up against each other in the final. But as long as we get that, I'll be happy.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Yeah.
And I guess, what about, I feel like the Lucas Moura thing, do you remember that finally when he scored the
against
2
Ajax.
goals? Yeah.
Yeah, no, hat-trick against
Oh yeah, hat-trick, yeah.
Ajax.
And then they came back and won, yeah.
The last kick of the game, yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous. And that was away. We lost 2-0 to them. Back then we were still at White Hart Lane, I think. Where we moved. And,
No, yeah, Wembley, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, we just we'd lost 2-0 to them at home, and we went away, and I think it was 3 second-half structure or something, and
Something like that, yeah.
it was absolutely ridiculous. And last kick of the game, Lucas Moore put it in, and there was this tiny patch of Tottenham fans right in the corner of the stadium going, yeah, and like absolutely insane. And I still get shivers. I sometimes go back to the video and watch it, but
yeah, that's what we
then
like
I
to
just
see,
end up
that, yeah.
thinking about the next game. And so close,
Yeah.
and we've only gone down since there. And I think people
No, you'll be back,
kicked
mate,
out
soon enough.
Pochettino like a couple of seasons afterwards, and I was reading this thing on Instagram the other day talking about how he allowed us to punch above our weight for so long. Like, we did not have a Champions League final team,
Yeah, coaches are so
and
unfair.
we still made
yeah.
the Champions League final, and they sacked him, and he didn't get the respect he deserved, and now we're where we should have been for a long time. And also the pressure of being a top 6 club is also so annoying, because are we really a top 6 club anymore? I mean,
Yeah, like,
oh,
depends on the
as much
season.
as I hate
do you
to say
reckon?
it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, At least you can kick Arsenal out before us. But,
We love that.
yeah.
Stuff Arsenal, yeah.
But, yeah.
And I think we spoke about music last time, but you still listen to Listen SO and all the
Yeah, a
Aussie,
bit of Hilltop
old school
Woods.
Hilltop Woods, yeah,
oh,
1955, yeah, you know
Yeah,
what I mean,
bit of-
yeah,
bit of,
yeah, bit of that.
I don't mind. It's mostly hip hop or rap in
Hip-hop,
my
yeah.
playlist. A lot of Aussie stuff, a lot of local stuff. A bit of Briggs. He's been doing a bit lately. A few of his kind of indigenous record label other rappers that he kind of finances, which is really good. I like to see. It's a lot of a demographic that isn't listened to very much, and obviously a lot of the time don't have the facilities to make their music dreams a reality. So it's really good to see that becoming a real force in the community. And yeah, I have a bit of a running playlist that I pop onto. It's mostly just it's either angry or euphoric, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm not necessarily feeling that, but it always helps me feel better. So
Love
yeah.
that. Yeah, and what about we call this the money segment as we do, but I can't remember what funny story you had last time, but have there been any funny encounters recently you want to share? Being back at school, I know when I was back, like our whole building just got demolished because we're kind of building up, we're
No, yeah.
renovating, yeah. So what's it like? Any funny stories?
Today when I was working, I dropped. It was my first table clearance back because I was pretty much a newbie again today. I've only done, I think, maybe 10 shifts at the cafe before, and I go from 9 till 2. Today it was 8:30 to 2:15 because we were absolutely packed because it's the first weekend brunch out of lockdown. So there were a lot of people there. But no, I've had the whole lockdown off. I can't remember how long it's been, like a month or a month and a half, maybe 2. I honestly have no idea how long it's been.
Time
But
flies.
yeah, I was almost a newbie. I was definitely got into my groove a lot quicker than I did on my first shift. But
Because you kind of build along as you go. Yeah.
But
yeah,
on my
get it.
first table clearance of the day, I dropped the fork and it just went being on the ground, and everyone looked at me and I was like, oh, yeah,
Yay,
good stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, after that I settled into my rhythm and I didn't smash anything or make anything over. And I still haven't smashed anything. I've dropped a couple of pieces of cutlery, but I'm probably going to smash something on my next shift now. But
Hopefully, that goes well, and keep up the good work.
yeah.
No worries, mate. And what about this one? Always gets people. What about the best piece of advice someone has ever given you, Wallace? Like, really?
Jeez, that,
No,
I
take
was
time.
like, geez, that really resonates with me. But actually, I'm not going to be able to remember what it was. I just did a quote yesterday
maybe
in English that I was
yeah.
writing about. I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, you can reference it. Yeah.
I'm going to botch it if I try to remember his name, so I'm not going to attempt it.
Tough one, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no, hang on. I think Noam Chomsky.
Ooh, I've got no idea who he is, but I'll
no,
take your word for it,
I'm
mate.
pretty
Yeah.
sure that's his name. I've heard the name before. I didn't really know of him, but he was talking about how people don't know anything and they don't know anything.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
good.
it's not a quote I live by, but I find it interesting, and I feel like that's true, and I can relate to that one as well because, for example, I think I can relate to it because I lived overseas and like people have no idea what it's like over there, and
And likewise in Australia as well.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know. Yeah.
exactly. So I talk to people about my life overseas, and I think when I say I've lived in Malaysia, they just imagine because I lived on an island in Malaysia with a population of about a couple million people, like maybe just over 1 million, I can't quite remember. But like a relatively big island, it's 90 kilometres circumference, riding around it. So we rode around it a couple of times, but yeah, it was a big island. But I feel like people think I lived on this, like when I say island in Malaysia, they think of this tiny little island with like a little village and people catching their own food and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's nothing like that. And
There's more to it, yeah.
yeah, people don't know,
100%.
and they don't know that they don't know. And so when I'm talking about pretty much anything I've done in another country, wherever I've lived,
Yeah, I love that. Mate,
and I talk about, when I lived over here, and they're just like, they have no idea. So, no, that's nothing motivational, but I definitely found that interesting. I was like, I can actually relate to that quite a lot.
No, I love that. I can relate to that as well. Just quickly, because I'm from East Timor, and because my surname is just pretty much NG, people think
Yeah.
it's like short for like Nguyen, which is a common Vietnamese
Yeah.
name. So they're like, "Oh, you Vietnamese?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm from East Timor," and I kind of
Yeah.
have to explain it like 100 times every time. So yeah, I can totally relate, mate. And this one's a fun one now. So, is there any books or movies you've read so far, like back in the past, you want to kind of recommend to listeners?
Last time I was on the show, I think you remember I was talking about how I haven't read a book in a while.
Yeah, well, how's the book reading now?
It's going better.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My dad listened to it and wasn't very happy with it.
You got your few books already, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've read a couple of books over lockdown. I think I've read 2 books over lockdown, and like decent sized books. So I'm happy with that. That's definitely getting back into it, and just like, I don't have a hell of a lot of spare time on my hands, and I definitely have a lot more if I didn't have my phone, because
Oh, it's so.
think,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
like, especially even around homework and stuff, you think, I don't have any spare time, and then you look at your phone and you're like 4 hours, and I'm like, oh no, I do have spare time. I just
Go on my phone.
lose complete track of it.
Yeah, it
when I'm
happens to
on
me
my
all the
phone.
time, mate.
Yeah, so I've kind of cracked down on that a little bit more recently.
Love that. I'll set limits on my phone.
yeah. Yeah, so it's never become chronic. Like, it's maybe got in the way of my life a little bit. Like,
I get what you
it's
mean.
definitely
Yeah.
addictive, especially when I first had the phone. Whenever you first
Get something,
Get
you kind of
something,
use it a lot,
yeah,
and
you
then
use it a
it
lot,
kind of
but
dies down.
now I've kind of I've managed to regulate it a lot more effectively, and I think I only spent an hour on it yesterday, because
Oh wow.
went straight into school in the morning pretty much, and only used it for about 15 minutes, and then I came back from school and lay on my floor for half an hour, just thinking about the school day and answering some messages and
Just
stuff.
chilling,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I went out and kicked the ball for with my friend for about 3.5 hours, and I came back and ate dinner with some friends and some of my parents' friends, and then by that time it was like 10:30, and I watched a 15-minute YouTube video and then went off to bed. So when you give yourself stuff to do, and when you have stuff to do, you don't use it that much, but
When you don't, yeah. I know we're not that addicted, but I know some people who have like 10-hour days on their phones, and that's like, if you reach double digits, you're like completely out of it. Yeah, that's like
very
crazy. Yeah, that's not
so.
good. We don't recommend that. We recommend like max on a bad day 5 hours maybe.
Yeah, online school is a different story, because like it's
you have access to it,
or,
whereas
it's right next to you. But
that's
I
cool.
don't even take my phone to school most days. I took it with me yesterday because I thought I might need to check in to get a haircut, and there were like 7 people waiting in line, so I was like,
I was like, oh, wait till
you can see
Sunday.
I really need a
We both
haircut.
need haircut. Yeah,
But I'm on online school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, so I should be able to go maybe even during the day or after that.
That's true, because they let you off early sometimes, which is actually a benefit as well.
And my running's changing from Tuesday, Thursday to Monday, Wednesday down with Matthew's running team. So
that kind of
my Tuesday PE class, I'm not going to be able to use to do my sets anymore. So I might go for a run, but I also might use it just to go out and get a haircut at like just before midday, when hopefully there's not going to be many people.
Very good plan, Wallace.
Yeah.
And a good segue again to quick hands, because there's like funny, I guess, topics to cover a bit. Are you a pineapple and pizza guy? Yes or no?
I don't care. Like,
don't care.
It's such a trivial argument. Like, it's recently that I thought about this. Like, my whole life I've been wondering, yes, no. I mean, I'll have it. I don't really care. But at the same time, it doesn't really belong there. But at the end of the day, it's your choice if you like it. I don't really care. You can go and knock yourself out. And I'll eat pizza. It's pizza. And
love that.
yeah. So if it's a real pizza, no. If you're just having Domino's or something, it's not good enough to be called pizza, so put pineapple on it. So, I mean, I don't mind. If I'm having a real pizza, like I'm going to an Italian restaurant, I mean, they're not even going to have it on the menu, but there's no way I'm having pizza. Pineapple, sorry, on my pizza.
Yeah, it's like breaking the, I guess, the Italian culture a bit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to do that at an Italian restaurant. English or maths?
Probably English. I find it easier.
Yeah.
It's a lot more chill, and you can talk to your friends, and it's a lot more like
Debates.
debating and
It's the same
discussing
time.
stuff and talking to people and writing stuff down.
Man, what's your favourite subject?
Oh,
Tough one.
probably English to be
English as well.
honest.
Yeah. No, I
because,
love that.
I mean, I would say PE, but I haven't had much of it recently. So
you're not doing VCP as well. So like you got
I'm not going to do it. So yeah, I mean, I like PE and I like getting out, but I can get out by myself and.
It's like you don't have to do the subject. You can just do it like recreationally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think.
What's your favourite place to visit in Melbourne?
Well, I like Richmond. It's where
Richmond,
my grandparents live, and whenever we came back from overseas to visit, we'd stay in my grandparents' house, so I know the area quite well. You know, down near Amy Park and the MC2,
Right, yeah.
around there, and Gosh's Paddock. It's quite relatively upper class these days. But
I'm going to
like,
the town tomorrow. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's pretty close. Yeah,
pretty much next door.
Jog around
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to when we visited or whenever we stayed there, I used to jog down from Richmond and do a lap of the town or two and come back. So yeah I like that area, and it's it's pretty upper class, but
it's also casual, kind of like Marby where we are right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just it's got a nice vibe about it. If that's the right word, and I just enjoy it. And there's a nice sushi shop there as well.
Oh, sushi! Gotta love a Japanese food. It's just like top class. Lastly, for quick hands, are you a morning or night person, mate?
I will say I need my sleep. I'm so grumpy if I don't get at least 8 hours. Like I've always been like that. If I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I do have a tendency to be really grumpy.
Really angry, yeah.
Like over the rest of the day. Like things will set me off. So it depends. I like to get to sleep nice and early. I think a lot of my friends will say that. You know, I'll be going to bed and my friends will. You know, when I wake up in the morning and answer my snaps, and it's like I wake up at 7 and it says sent 6 hours ago, and I'm like, mate, you're up at 1 o'clock. I went to school now. I went to bed at like 9.
No, I rate that as well. Yeah.
I'm generally, on a school night, unless I'm running, in which case it might be even earlier. I like to be lights out by 9:30 because it takes me a little bit to fall asleep. Not usually, but recently it has. I think it's just lockdown, and apparently. Because I have my desk in my room and that's where I've been doing all my classes. Apparently, learning working in the same
correlating
place that
effect.
sleep,
Yeah,
it means that you get the spaces mixed up in your head. I mean, I can't believe the human body's so stupid, but it's like
come on, brain.
I'm meant to be working or sleeping here, and I don't know. Also in lockdown, you're not using your body as much. You're not moving and you're not talking and discussing. So I think at the end of the day, that's quite a bit of energy that isn't used up. So I generally. Don't fall asleep as easily. But I'm probably a morning person, I think, because I do wake up earlier than most people. But on the weekends, I definitely like to stay awake and watch some movies, just have some time to myself.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same right now, morning person, because I feel like similar to you on Snap, mate. There's people sending snaps at 1 a.m. on school nights, and some of them have like more than a million snaps. I'm like, come on, mate. Like,
more things to do than build a number on a profile.
Getting too sidetracked. So, what about 2010s? Like, right now we're starting the 2020s, and I don't know where the tech is going, but would you say back in the day, there were like consoles such as the Wii and DS are like iconic? Did you ever experience those? Or
to be honest, this is actually a funny story.
Love that, mate. Go for it.
I never had a console, and I still don't. I think, if I spend too much time on my phone, I don't know what a console's going to do to me.
Yeah.
But no, I've never had anything of the sort.
You love that
as well.
Watch a bit of
YouTube, use a bit of Netflix, but no, not a console. My family have always been like, no, not really into it. And my parents.
What about board games? You found?
Definitely board games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played one for a while, but
what's that game?
We used to love Uno. It's still a family favourite. We played a lot of kind of obscure board games that I can't quite remember the names of. But but one time at school I used to this kid used to be like, oh, I'm going to go home and play on my PlayStation tonight, and I had no idea what a PlayStation was. I thought it was this this is kind of embarrassing too. I thought it was like this big parking lot with lots of toy cars in it and like a station that you play with, right? And
I get what you mean. It's like all in a line.
And I thought, oh, that's so cool. But I generally had no idea what it was.
Kind of like a playtime. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. But I don't think, if I'd known what it actually was, I don't think I would have found it as cool.
I can tell you, I grew up with DS's, Wii's and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, it correlated to PlayStations, and I mean, the screen time does have a knock-on effect, but it's kind of like you can have debates in English about it, and
exactly.
that'd be a good
it's
essay.
Entertaining, but I do have a couple of friends who spend way too long on their PlayStation.
Same,
so
yeah,
not
it's
enough
like-
time doing homework.
It's like it consumes them, but yeah,
Yeah.
happened to me a few times. And to wrap up, like, what's next for 2021? I know we've got a few months left. What about next year, like year 11? Any like big goals academically, and I guess your half marathon again goals? You want to just set it out?
I think I might aim to do like a sub 140 half marathon.
That's a good plan, yeah.
I can't remember how fast I did my last one in. It was 140 something. So I think that's like under 4 minute 40 pace.
Yeah, 4:35 or something like that. Yeah.
So if I can do that, I'll definitely be very happy, and I'll knock that off. I want to do well on my exams. I think I'd like to get more than 80% on both of my methods exams. And apart from
I
that,
love
I'm
that,
not
yeah.
really stressed about my other ones, to be honest. They don't really matter in year 10.
I
Year
can
11 even,
understand,
they
yeah.
don't really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want to do well on them, so you know you have the potential to do the same on your year 12 ones, but I don't really mind. And I just want to maybe join a soccer club. I think, I
Really?
didn't get here too long ago, so I'm into my soccer and I enjoy playing it, so maybe joining a club just to actually make myself get better, give myself a bit of
Play
discipline
striker?
as well as just knocking it around with my friends. Yeah, no, I don't know where I play, to be honest. I'd probably just play
Wherever
around in
it be.
training and then
Yeah.
go wherever the coach says I'd be best. I
Yeah,
have
love
no
that.
idea how I'd match off. Yeah, but just have a bit of fun.
Bit of fun.
And I
that's
think
all,
those
yeah.
are my 3 main goals for the rest of this year. Yeah.
Yeah, some awesome goals, like academically and like for sports, because sports podcast, we love sports. And yeah, I guess, mate, it's been a pleasure chatting about running, school that out. But I'm sure, like, obviously, with COVID over, I'm sure you get into like races with the Great Ocean Road half.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've learned a lot about your experiences in China as well, and
Yeah.
in Malaysia, because like I felt like the Malaysia one impacted you a fair bit as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're both correlated, and you learn a lot off that, which you can take back here, and that's a main focal point. And I guess, mate, we have to catch up for another run, because I think the last
Yeah.
time we ran was like pre like this 80-day lockdown or something.
Yeah,
it
I
might
think it was
have
the
been.
lockdown before that.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I remember I think last K you got a like 4-minute K. We were like jog easy, and then last K we just like ripped there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So doing that as well, that'll be
Have a little
fun.
bit of sprint at the end. Yeah, it always feels good.
Love that, mate. Catch up soon, Wallace.
Yeah, alright. Thank
no
you for
worries.
having me on here. It's been great.
Been great, and hopefully it doesn't come down.
Yeah.